This is Derrick Broze. This is Derrick Broze of the Conscious Resistance. I'm here in Standing Rock.
That man is wanted in 5 different countries: Chile, Argentina, Brazil.
We've been fighting a long time. We've all lost so very much. So many loved ones gone.
Don't you fucking tease that horse!
You are not alone. There are pockets of resistance all around the planet. We are at the brink. Above all, stay alive. You have no idea how important you are. If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.
Hey everyone, this is Derrick Broze of the Conscious Resistance Network, and today is October 2nd, 2020, Friday, October 2nd, 2020. I've got a really brief video right now that I'm doing live via Float at the Conscious Resistance, via YouTube at the Conscious Resistance, on the Derrick Broze Facebook page, the Conscious Resistance Facebook page, and several other pages that I don't want to get into right now. But the point is, if you want to follow my work, go to theconsciousresistance.com, theconsciousresistance.com. You can find all of my documentaries. You can download my books for free. You can find all of my video reports, as well as the reports of other people on this channel and on this team. In fact, as soon as I finish this video, my buddy John Bush is going to be launching a really important video that I hope you guys will check out. Really briefly, though, I just wanted to step in and give this little rant, a little bit of breakdown of, as the video is titled, How Q Anon Has Poisoned the Well and Stoked Division. Now, for those who are unaware, I have done several video reports on Q Anon over the last couple of years. Again, these can be found at theconsciousresistance.com. You just go there and search Q Anon. You will find a number of reports that I've done, and I advise you to go back and watch those, especially for those who are saying, oh yeah, you've debunked Q Anon. Sure, you just don't know how to read the cube drops and yada yada or whatever. Come here to this website, Q Anon, and you can find several reports I've done pointing out the fallacies associated with Q Anon and other people like David Wilcock and Alex Jones and people who've perpetuated this thing. And there's even more and more research coming out about, different people who might be involved. And, so we're going to save that conversation. If you believe in Q, then, that's for another day. This conversation today is to specifically focus on how this operation, it is a psyop, it is a psychological operation that has been conducted on the American people and is creating more chaos than I've seen in a long time. It has specifically divided the so-called truther movements in the last 4 years. There are now, and I've said this for a while, there are now people who will be going forward who, in the kind of timeline of conspiracy research, in 10, 20, 30 years, these people will look back and they will believe that their interpretation of this time period is going to believe that Donald Trump was a good guy and that, he tried to save the world from the New World Order, but, the damn Democrats and the communists and Antifa stopped them. There's just going to be some totally fractured timeline from what's really going on. The point is that Trump in every way is obviously a part of the plan, not the plan you want to trust either. So don't trust the scam. But let's take a look at a couple of situations here as per my evidence of what I'm talking about, that Q Anon has poisoned the well of legitimate research. And what I mean by that is that, because some people will say, oh, don't you know Q's woken people up? Maybe some people have woken up slightly through Q, but then they get sucked into this fake narrative that says that JFK is alive and him and Trump are secretly fighting the deep state cabal. And, it's all the Chi-Coms and, just totally, it's like they sort of wake up, but then they get totally turned into, some just lost in what I consider to be these layers of deception. I'm working on an article for this month called The 5, maybe 7 Layers of Deception. And these people are lost in part of that deception. They believe that, they have some of the truth, like the Epstein story and this and that, but then they also have it filtered through a potentially CIA or other intelligence agency narrative through the QAnon thing. This article was published a few weeks ago on Time magazine. Not really a reputable source, definitely a source of propaganda in many ways. But this is the point. You have to understand what the mainstream is putting out there to understand the effect that QAnon has had on the conspiracy, what I consider to be more like a true crime research community. How conspiracy theories are shaping the 2020 election and shaking the foundation of American democracy. I'm going to not read this article. There's just one main point I want to get into. And I do encourage you to read it, though. Because look, here we go. The QAnon conspiracy theory, a pro-Trump viral delusion that began in 2017 and has spread widely over recent months, migrating from the far-right corners of the internet to infect ordinary voters in the suburbs. Its followers believe President Trump is a hero safeguarding the world from a deep state cabal of Satan-worshipping pedophiles, Democratic politicians, and Hollywood celebrities who run a global sex trafficking ring harvesting the blood of children for life-sustaining chemicals. Where's the lie? No, but seriously, like there's a lot of truth in what they said there, right? But do you see how, because they can dismiss some of the crazier aspects of QAnon, like for example, I've got a future video over here on my other computer. I'm looking at 2 studies about adrenochrome because I've been trying to get to what's the truth of adrenochrome and eventually do a video. But I'm not going to stake my life on the claim that these people are drinking adrenochrome. The point is, though, they take the most out there examples, which may or may not be true, and they also take provably false examples from the QAnon community and then use that to sort of paint with a broad brush against anybody who questions the idea of 9/11, for example. And here it says about 1 in 5 voters in Kenosha, Wisconsin, volunteered ideas that veered into the realm of conspiracy theory, ranging from QAnon to the notion that COVID-19 is a hoax. So my point here is you can find examples time and time again trying to associate, for example, in this case, questioning COVID-19 with being associated with QAnon. Some people have clearly been exposed to QAnon conspiracy theorists online. Others seem to be repeating the false ideas espoused by Plandemic and spreading the idea that COVID-19 is a hoax. And so their goal here is to try to take this movement, which has elements of truth and then a lot of insanity, and then obviously is positioning Trump as a good guy, and it's just this kind of, it's not true is the point, but they take that and then sort of use that as a way to tie in association with supporting Trump, association with people who question COVID, and try to act like it's all the same thing. And this is done in a way to specifically, not only to poison the well, where it's the same thing we saw before with oh, so you must believe in the flat earth, or I bet you believe that reptiles, this and that. And you might believe those things, but the point is it's trying to take an extreme example and then discount anything you say after that by making you look like an extremist. That's the whole goal. And I think that is part of besides the hopium and the hope porn that QAnon is offering, I think that's part of their operation as well, is to create that division and to use it to, poison the well is basically what I'm saying here. And I want to show you another real world example of this. I'm going to wrap up in just the next couple of minutes. This is just a real short video. Get this thought in your head, because this whole month of October, guys, including my live video tonight, in a couple hours at 7 p.m., I'll be going live in the same place, same channel, talking about Operation Underground Railroad. I'll be announcing that tonight, what that is. And for those of you who are concerned with the election and with a lot of things going on, the division, and part of that division is being brought on by the QAnon folks. They don't even realize they're playing into it, but they think they're fighting some secret cabal, which there is a secret cabal. There are secret societies. There's a lot of truth in there, but they have it all twisted up. And then when they're attacked by the media, it just reinforces the same idea to them. It's kind of like a constant thing. See, they're attacking us. Why would they attack Q if it's not true? It's just simple, not much logic at all. And then the other side says, look how crazy these QAnon people are. They think Trump, this guy who's obviously not a good guy, is that they think he's a good guy. It just creates division, and each side is digging in further and further. And Q is just one element of the division that is focused on the elections. I will be talking about that tonight, guys, and the importance of getting prepared for what may be on the horizon now that we're here in October and we are just weeks away from the American election. I'll be talking more about that later. But so I wanted to do this video, though, to talk about this division and this QAnon. It's a dual purpose thing. Again, it sort of attacks legitimate research by trying to associate with guilt by association QAnon, and then it also creates more division. And I'm going to give you guys a perfect example of this. Just this past weekend, some friends of mine, I will share the link to that article from Time Magazine real quick if anybody wants to read it. And just one brief point is, guys, you need to make sure that you read information and articles that you don't agree with from outlets that you can't stand, with opinions that you think are moronic. It's important, or at least for me it is. I want to understand all different viewpoints, because I don't just get my viewpoint and my analysis from one single area. So just this last week, some friends of mine hosted a march against human trafficking in Houston. And this march against human trafficking had counter protesters. Yeah, I mean, who could imagine somebody counter protesting a human trafficking march? But guys, guess who showed up to this human trafficking march? Look at this crowd. These are the local anti-fascists in Houston, part of a Houston United Front Against Fascism. Stop trafficking, stop QAnon and Trump too. The only satanic cult is the Trump-Pence regime. Resist Trump. Let's see some more. Stop police brutality. QAnon is a dangerous pro-Trump cult. The only satanic cult is the Trump-Pence regime. Then just people, of course, these people are all masked up. Stop police brutality. And this is from the Houston Socialist Movement, from the Houston United Front Against Fascism. They think this is fascism. They counter-protested my friend's human trafficking defend black and brown lives, yeah, how about you do that by working with people who are trying to stop human trafficking, because black and brown people in many cases are trafficked more than other people. But these people, because of, again, the poisoning the well, the guilt by association, well, QAnon says that there's a democratic cabal, that's going after children, and they think it's fake. So not only does that guilt by association, where people who are just have nothing to do with QAnon, these are just some activist friends who are going out there to do a march for human trafficking, because Houston is a very hot bed for human trafficking, and they're trying to raise awareness, and they get counter protested by people who are united against fascism because they believe that it's a QAnon march. Why? Because QAnon crowd definitely did help push that tag, Save Our Children, to the point that in Houston there was a graffiti that got tagged on the very well-known bridge in Houston. It said Save Our Children, and they said they were going to investigate it because it was potentially connected to QAnon. I mean, so instead of looking at, well, is it a bad thing to save our children? Is it a bad thing to go out and talk about human trafficking? Or do these people even want to have a conversation and say, hey, well, let's get into it. Let's talk about the CIA covering up for the Finders cult in the 80s. Let's talk about Jeffrey Epstein and the intelligence connections. Let's talk about the reality of human trafficking. But instead of actually thinking, and this story sort of shows the idiocy of these people here, that I'm sure they're well-intentioned, they think they're doing well, but my friends who were organizing the march said they didn't even try to talk to them. In fact, when they kept saying, guys, we're not with QAnon, like, we're just independent, this crowd wouldn't listen to them. Instead, they just, they made this long post on their Facebook page. I'll just briefly read it to you. 24 activists from various organizations came out to City Hall today and shut down the QAnon rally scheduled there. Everyone agrees that human trafficking is a serious problem, but this event was organized by followers of the QAnon cult. They believe Satan-worshipping Democrats, Hollywood celebrities, and billionaires control the world, engage in pedophilia and human trafficking, and take a supposedly life-extending chemical. QAnon cult members believe that a racist, anti-worker, would-be fascist Trump is the only one who can save the world. Like other Trumpsters and fascists, QAnon is dangerous. And there was about 5 people who unfortunately only showed up to the human trafficking march. There was 30 or so counter-protesters, but the counter-protesters discouraged people from joining because they were like, hey, don't go join with them. That's QAnon people. And they were able to talk people out of partnering with them. And they literally chased these people trying to expose and confront and protest trafficking. They followed them around from corner to corner, shouting them down, and they consider this to be a win. And they're like, shout out to the Coalition Against Trump and Fascism, the Houston Socialist Movement, all these different groups. And they see this as some kind of win. I mean, that to me is a perfect example of what that other article that I just read to you guys is trying to achieve, to poison the well. And we need to be aware of this. I'm going to shut up now because I want you guys to go watch John Bush's video, which is on the Conscious Resistance YouTube channel, the Conscious Resistance Facebook, the Conscious Resistance Float, and several other pages. But the point of this video is to once again say QAnon is a psyop. We're a month away from the election. Nothing that has been promised is going to come to fruition. And it's being used to divide people, to divide the truth movement, to turn left further against right. It's just another trap. Yes, QAnon may occasionally post and say, look, the Democrats and the Republicans are doing this. But generally, it's all support the Republicans, support the conservatives, support Trump. It's redirecting people who might have woken up to the true nature, the true facts, that nobody in the system cares about you, that there is no president you can vote for that is going to set you free. There is no QAnon, there is no aliens, there is nobody else but your own heart, your own mind, and empowered human beings coming together to recognize our nature as physical, mental, and spiritual beings to fix things. There is no plan to sit around and trust. You are only harming yourself when you do that. Thank you guys for listening. This is Derrick Broze with the Conscious Resistance Network. Please go check out John Bush's video. Until next time, remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you are free. Peace.
This is Derrick Broze. This is Derrick Broze of the Conscious Resistance. I'm here in Standing Rock.
That man is wanted in 5 different countries: Chile, Argentina, Brazil.
We've been fighting a long time. We've all lost so very much. So many loved ones gone.
Don't you fucking tease that horse!
You are not alone. There are pockets of resistance all around the planet. We are at the brink. Above all, stay alive. You have no idea